Yeah, well, unlike other challenges that have focused on racial discrimination in voting or partisan challenges, this one strikes at the heart of democracy itself, arguing that the state constitution itself gives North Carolinians the right to fair elections. And this is something that the state has had to contend with for years. It started all the way back in the 1990s. You see a convoluted map like this. This one was drawn by Democrats. Same thing in the early 2000s. Democrats crafting these convoluted lines. Of course, that infamous line there going all the way from Charlotte to Greensboro, for example, but more recently, it has been Republicans drawing the map lines to their own benefit, all ending with this most recent lines that were just drawn this year. The man behind this suit is Bob Orr. He is a former Republican who served on the state Supreme Court as a Supreme Court justice for almost a decade and later became an unaffiliated voter. Orr says by transcending politics and instead using a group of voters to make a strict constitutional case of why gerrymandering is wrong, he hopes his fellow judges will listen to the facts.
The political parties have, fought over the maps. This is not about the political parties. This is about the right of individual citizens, of voters, and in very discrete districts. And I think there's just been a presumption that elections are supposed to be fair, and as a result, we have not seen any litigation pursue this theory, despite.
Now, that suit was filed in Wake County Superior Court, which could eventually rise to the state Supreme Court to get them to take another look at this legal theory. In practice, although it might not move the needle, at least for this current election cycle with the maps in place now, they hope it could lead to change down the road.
It seems as if the best way you're going to get any kind of change on this is if the party in charge decides, there may be a likelihood at some point that we lose, and we don't want to be in a position that we were in the past where we ended up getting the short end of the stick on this, so let's change the process. I don't think we're there right now, but this lawsuit may be part of the process of getting us there.
All right, Tom, so what's next in this process?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? There have been so many of these cases, but unlike those other cases which are going through federal court, this one is going through state court, so there is no immediate time frame, and of course also no hurry, given the fact that they just ruled on this last year, given that ruling on the partisan gerrymandering, but certainly not in time, though, to impact the current lines. Of course, those are already in place for this next election, but they're hoping for something down the road.
And Bob Orr says this is about fair elections. That's kind of a nebulous term. What does he mean? What is he looking for in terms of a fair election?
Yeah, well, that is all open to interpretation. That's something that these judges would take a look at, these maps again. Judge Orr actually was part of that panel of special masters, you'll remember from last year, that redrew the lines in a more fair way. It led to that 7-7 split delegation, but of course, those maps were thrown out again once the Supreme Court control flipped. So he says down the road, an independent process might be the best way forward, but obviously, as we've seen from the past few decades, hard for whoever is in power to want to voluntarily give up that power. Yeah, so that is kind of the crux of the argument here.
And right now it is the Republicans in control, of course, of the North Carolina legislature. This will be decided at a later date, but we need to tune into the election process. The March primary is coming up, and in fact, early voting begins in just 2 weeks for the March primary.
Very important stuff coming up. All right.
Tom, thank you.